In the CAT exam, women don't even take the exam. Okay? These girls were much better than boys in school, 10th and 12th class. After that, the play field became uneven. If Sachin Tendulkar was asked to choose between marriage and cricket, would he still be Sachin Tendulkar? We had this ratio for 50 years of IIM's existence that there are 8 to 10% women in a class size of, let's say, 180, 200. IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta could master only up to 10% women in 50 years of existence. So I looked at the data. Then I realized in the CAT exam, women don't even take the exam. They can only make it if they take it. I asked, why would they not take it? Then the questions were that these girls were much better than boys in school, 10th and 12th class. After that, the play field became uneven because boys, in a middle class family, the coaching money went to the boys to crack the exams. The girls were primed for marriage. So I asked this question to my faculty: if Sachin Tendulkar was asked to choose between marriage and cricket, would he still be Sachin Tendulkar? And so the answer to that was obvious. And so we said that we are going to admit the 10th scores and 12th scores as a criteria for admission, and then girls got equal opportunity, and they did much better than expected in the interview, and in the summer placements they outdid the boys. Corporates are looking for this. The timing was right. So IIM Kozhikode was the first time in 2013 to get 52%, 53% women on the board, and it changed the dynamics across the narrative across the management world, not just IIMs, ISB. Corporates started thinking more women managers at the entry level, more board members at the corporate level. So we played a significant role here in gender diversity. Then we looked at other forms of diversity. The first D was digitization, second D was diversification. I launched 4 new programs in 2020. MBA in Liberal Studies, MBA in Finance, PhD for practicing professionals, 1-year MBA program in business leadership. These 4 new programs are launched all together in 1 year. It is unthinkable in the IIM system. We are very conservative. Like we are launching 4 versions of Indian Express in the same year. It was thought of as impossible, but I realized that if you don't do it in one go, each one will feed on the other. It's not as though we are doing 4 things. We are only doing one thing, which is we are diversifying. And diversification plays on each other. See, our innovation quotient went up. We realized innovation was a function of diversity. So teachers started teaching differently. Pedagogy was different. The boys were dressed better. They didn't utter expletives in front of girls. So and our bathrooms had to be redone. And so we recognized that there are lots. And then somebody said there must be, there's dispensers, this sanitary pads in every. So our sensitivity levels went up. It became. So we reached global standards in many things because, So this diversity was not just gender diversity. It was diversity in number of courses, diversity in terms of... IIM Kozhikode went out and became the first IIM to embrace global accreditation. Our vision for 2047 is not about doing more. I think what do we undo so that we still remain relevant as a country, as an institution, as a state in 2047.
You said destroy or undo. If you were to undo, can you name 5 things which you would want to undo going forward?
5 things would be too many to undo in one go, but I can imagine that one thing I would immediately want to undo is a mindset that said that we don't have enough. That's a primary. The sense of scarcity. People say, what is the funding for education? Immediately the question is funding. But do you see that even if there is funding, there is no access to that funding? There are reforms that are needed in the structure where funding does not percolate. You don't invest in focused technological intervention. You're spreading it all over. There is a system that so I need X amount of money for technological upgradation of Indian institutions. I give that money on a blanket basis, not looking at where is the greatest leverage for that kind of thing. So not enough research. So Indian mind has to be innately inquisitive. This is what I'm going to undo in school system. We must replace these fossilized institutions that have archaic systems of answers, not questions. We are all teachers are ready with answers. Your questions must be answered in a particular way, otherwise you don't get marks. And so the point is that this questioning of assumptions, which a new generation of India is ready to, these assumptions will have to be made part of. See, our institutions have to be laboratories of learning, not learned people. And so this learning will have to come in the form of constant challenging, changing assumptions. This will be things I will undo in the institution space. You replace your answers with more and more questions. Don't take anything for granted in terms of how this newspaper will be run, how this will be published. We did it like this throughout. IIMs were run like that. I was also often hearing, IIMs don't do this, IIMs don't do that. IIMs don't tamper with meritocracy. CAT exam is sacrosanct. Today you see, top IIMs don't use more than 50% of the CAT scores. Because there is a misleading certainty about a score based on a one-time exam in assessing a person's capability. I was saying that for a long time. So for God's sake, the civil services exam. They're not talking about. I was sitting in an interview in civil services. The standard question from the chairman in UPSC board. I don't know if this should go on record, but nevertheless, tell me about corruption. And immediately the answer comes from the candidates, an absolutely parroted answer. Corruption is of two kinds. What are the two kinds? Need-based and greed-based. So it went on, 4 candidates saying the same thing, because some studies circles, some coaching center taught them. So I asked this guy, I said, tell me which one will you choose? He didn't even think. He said, I will never go for greed-based corruption. I said, it will always be need-based? He said, yes. So there is no reflection. So there is no reflection, you see what I'm saying? And so the point is that these monoliths, IITs, IIMs, IAS, we have to rethink what is going to be a successful bureaucrat, who's going to be a successful manager. We are losing our engineering talent. You see, most of them are going to the IT space, and because the quality of engineering in India is suffering. Nobody is thinking of those corrections. So how do you make engineering education again a matter of pride? It was a matter of pride. In my growing up years, it could be either engineer, doctor, or nobody. You have now replaced engineering with liberal studies and all of that. But you still need engineers, right? And quality engineers. You can't neglect one field. You can't push all engineers to do software development.